So how do chords work? Easy. Pick a first note, your root, then add another note on top, counting either 3 or 4 notes up, then add another note on top of that, counting either 3 or 4 notes up again. And we could stop here. That gives us a 3-note chord, which we call a triad. And triads are by far the most common chord that you'll hear in modern music. Now, if you want to spice your chord up a little more, we can add a 4th note. Again, by counting up either 3 or 4 notes from the last note. And that gives us a 4-note chord, which is called a 7th chord. A 7th chord is not as common as a triad, but it definitely pops up pretty frequently in modern music. If you want to spice up your chord progression a little, you could just add that 4th note and it'll give it a little bit more color and emotion. Now you could even keep going after this. You can create 5, 6, or even 7-note chords, and we call these extended chords. Extended chords are not as common as triads and 7ths, but if you're looking for a jazzy feel or something a little more experimental, play around with these. But using just 3 and 4-note chords is more than enough to create most types of modern music, and so you don't ever really need to go beyond that. So after we've gotten the notes for our chord, we have one last step, a crucial step, and that is to adjust the chord's voicing. Now that just means that we're going to change the order of the notes if we want, or maybe we move one note to a different octave, lower or higher, or maybe some notes we double up in multiple octaves. And when we do that, we end up with a new interpretation of the same chord, and it's voiced in that case. For example, in this chord, maybe I want to move the root down an octave so it has a more bassy sound, and then maybe I want to take the second note and move it up an octave, doubling it so it's bigger and brighter sounding. Or maybe in this chord, I want to actually make the second note the lowest note, thereby changing the root and kind of changing the feel of the chord altogether. It's really up to you. The way a chord is voiced could drastically change the sound of it, and naturally, different voicings sound good on different instruments. Now, here's a quick tip for chord voicing. If you've got a chord in a chord progression, try to voice it so that the notes are as close to the chord before it as possible. When there's less note movement in a chord progression, the chords tend to sound smoother going together. But of course, this is all subjective. Some kinds of music, like EDM for instance, they kind of tend to like more of a note jump on chord changes. So it's all up to you. As you're building your chord, each time you reach that fork in the road where you're deciding, do I count up 3 notes or 4 notes, you're deciding what kind of chord you're actually making. So every single chord has its own roadmap, so to speak. For example, a major chord is formed by starting with your root, and then you count up 4, and then you count 3. For a minor chord, first you count 3, and then you count 4. For a dominant 7th chord, first you count 4, then you count 3, then you count 3 again. If you know these roadmaps, then you could play essentially any chord starting at any root. Now, because I'm such a nice guy, I'm going to give you a free downloadable PDF that you can get just by clicking the link below, and it'll give you the roadmaps to all the different chords so you could start experimenting right now. There's also one more thing I want to give you for free, and it might sound like it's a little out of left field, but trust me, it's not. If you're watching this video and you think that the structure of music theory is cool and interesting, then chances are you would also like to code. And that might sound weird, but that's what happened to me. I became a coder by mistake because I was interested in learning music theory in my 30s. And then guess what? It happened to 2 more guys in my band, and now they are coders too. So when we're not touring the world, when we're not recording new albums, we are full-time programmers. We are earning 6-figure salaries, and none of us learned a lick of code until we were well into our 30s. I work from home too, which is ideal. I could literally work while I'm on tour. So in addition to the PDF, I'm also going to send you a free crash course, a 1-hour coding crash course that teaches you the fundamentals of coding through music theory. And it actually teaches you through a program that I made where you can type in some code and it affects a piano and the notes that come out of it. It's interactive and it's really fun, and you don't have to download anything. It's just a link. You open it up in your browser. Even if you think that coding probably isn't for you, I suggest you give it a shot, because chances are you don't know until you actually try. And like I said, if you're watching this video, you are the prime candidate to enjoy coding. Even if it's not for a new career. Even if you just want to make some cool tools that help you write music, that's actually what I did. I made some tools to help me write music for my band, and then I got roped into the world of coding because it's just so fun. Click the link below. You'll get the PDF. You'll get the crash course, all free. If you don't want the crash course, just ignore it. Either way, if you like this video, make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment below. And most importantly, Louie.
Hi, Daddy.
I'm trying to tell these people how to make chords